And then preparation to answer to the international context of the Sri Lankan arena. We have, as the governmental phase, we have some implemented the certain arrangement for that. Firstly, we have started, the Sri Lankan government has started and appointed LLRC commission appointed by the President to reveal the effective recommendations to guide the essential sectors on rebuilding the country with guaranteeing the protection of human dignity and rights. Then the outcome of the appointment of the LLRC commission was LLRC report, which consists more than 400 pages with more than 200 sections and addressing many of the features affected by in the war context. And then currently we have very recently we have government have passed has identified and passed 3 phases of implementation plan, and then we are in the process of enhancing the diplomatic missions. But still Sri Lanka keep under the monitoring human rights violation by the international community. If it will decide Sri Lanka has been violated some kind of human rights, then the most probably, as the history repeats, it would be most likely the affected result would be the economic sanction. Having an assumption that if we get a certain economic sanction, then what would be the future? Then the UN Charter introduces the specific procedure before the imposing collective measures as a response to threat or breach the peace. According to Article 39, stating Article 39, the Security Council shall determine the extension of any threat to the peace, breach of the peace, or any act of aggression, and the mistake recommendations, or decide what measures shall be taken in accordance with Article 41, 42 of the UN Charter to maintain and restore the international peace and security. Then my basic focus of this study is on Article 41 UN Charter. I have basically pointed out Article 41 as 2 phases. The Security Council may decide what measures not involving the use of armed forces are to be employed to give effect to its decisions, and it may call upon the members of the United Nations to apply such measures. These may include the complete or partial interruption of economic relations of rail, sea, air, postal, telegraphic, radio, and other means of communication, and the severeness of the diplomatic relations. By stating the second phase of this article, just imagine if we have to face such a situation, then what are the things that we are going to lose? Then the human rights norms and non-military enforcement measures, to enforce these kind of measures, basically the UN people has to consider these kind of principles, law principles, and the basic international conventions. Basically the international law principles on just cogence and omnes obligations. And then the Article 50 of the Draft States Responsibility Convention, then the UN Convention on Economic, Social, Cultural Rights, then ICSCR and UDHR, and UN General Assembly adopted in Resolution 2675 on basically basic principles on the protection of civilian population in armed conflict. Then human rights provisions of the UN Charter. These are the rights would be affected if a certain economic sanction will goes on. Then you will stop all the relationships between international contexts, and maybe it will be threat for your right to life. and adequate standard of living, including food, clothing, and housing. Then continuous improvement of right to conditions and right of everyone to opportunity to gain his living conditions by work. Then right of everyone the enjoyment of the safe and healthy working conditions, and right of anyone the social security, and finally the right to development. Now Professor Hans-Peter Gesser, basing on his article relating to this subject on economic sanctions, he links Article 1, subsection 3 of the UN Charter with Article 55, and quoting Professor Hans-Peter, suffice is to say that the promoting and the encouraging respect of the human rights and fundamental freedoms are among the UN purposes and primary tasks. Any decisions on the economic sanctions must therefore necessarily take human rights into their account. Then the famous Justice Veeramantri in International Court of Justice, in the case of nuclear weapon, the advisory opinion, dissenting judgment, quoting the positions of economic sanctions, it would be not the point that such results, the injuries effect to the economic sanctions are not directly intended to, but by products or collateral damages causing the economic sanction. Right? I would like to conclude this discussion part quoting this Professor Justice Veeramantri, and this would be the effective remarks for the foregoing sessions. Effective implementation of LLRC, enhancing human rights education opportunities, effective monitoring HR violations, need of strong diplomatic relationship, the role of the media and the national unity defeat national author or foreign intervention over the state. Thank you.